The brain attempts to construct a worldview, and we possess substantial evidence in support of this fact. Therefore, even when you are critical, you are deeply thoughtful and sometimes forgive, for instance, your grandparents for not being up to date, because they are older and you love them. And let's just close the topic. Your grandparents resemble the logic of brain function more than you do. So the brain tries to build a stable structure, because within this structure, social success is most easily achieved. And at this moment in the history of evolution, we observe several things in relation to this. The first thing is the significant enlargement of brains in order to accumulate cultural information, which includes everything that happens throughout our lives, what happens on the playground. It's a continuous accumulation of information, not factual information, but often something much more important, namely norms. Another aspect is our incredibly prolonged childhood. As I mentioned, from the brain's perspective, it lasts 25, 30 years when the prefrontal cortex matures and the myelination of long axons in the frontal cortex is completed. I don't know if you're aware, but we are the only species of primates that have an adolescence period, which is the teenage stage of life between the ages of 11 and 19. When we have a chimp, the chimp is a child and quickly becomes an adult. And we have greatly extended this period. Why? Because our brain primarily develops not in the mother's womb, but it undergoes significant development on the playground. I'll give you a simple example. The capacity of the genotype is 1 gigabyte. The brain's capacity is 100 terabytes, which means the brain is 100,000 times more informationally capacious than your genes. What does this mean? It means that you are unable to directly influence the development of the brain through genes. The brain develops under the influence of a certain genetic template. But what is crucial is the environment, that is, what happens to the child. Certainly, this epigenetic development already takes place during pregnancy. And the final point, which is extremely important, is the exceptionally long postmenopausal period. Unsure if you're aware, good news, especially for you, especially for ladies. In chimps, gorillas, when female reaches end of reproductive period, she dies as no longer needed for anything. In our species, a female lives for 30 years after reaching menopause. This demonstrates that grandparents have a vital role to play in the upbringing of a child. This child has a very long childhood and the grandmother has a very long life because the child expects the grandmother to teach. I will show you in a moment certain stages of a child's development, and an essential figure on the playground is an adult with a child. Due to the fact that a child is consistently guided by social cues, they never take independent actions from the very beginning. This is simply because it doesn't pay off for them in any way, shape, or form.